George Kilpatrick Inspiration for the Nation, celebrating people we feel good about on February the 22nd. The Syracuse Onondaga County chapter of the NAACP will be hosting an event called The Right to Read, highlighting the importance of literacy not only in our community but in this country. It'll be taking place at 5:30 at the Community Folk Arts Center. There'll be a panel discussion, and here to talk about that is the president of the Syracuse Onondaga County chapter of the NAACP, Gwen Muok, and the chair of the Education Committee, Lura Luckenheimer. Thank you both for joining us on the program. And Gwen, good to see you as always.
Good to see you, George.
I do run into you everywhere, all over town, doing everything.
I will have one thing to say. The Community Folk Arts Center is a co-sponsor of this event.
Right. So let's not, it's NAACP and the Community Folk Arts Center. As
correct.
Part of Black History Month, we should say that as well, as the Community Folk Arts Center really promoting events during this month. All right, so let's talk about this Right to Read documentary, because you've been telling me about this for several weeks now, Gwen, for several months actually, about this Right to Read documentary.
Well, the Right to Read is being highly promoted by the National NAACP. The person who did all of the research, Hakeem Weavers, was here in Syracuse back in October. He was a keynote speaker at the Reading League's conference. And what the Right to Read shares the stories of an activist who's Weaver and two American families who fight to provide our youngest generation with the most foundational indicator of the lifelong success, and that is the right to read. The right to read reading is a civil right now, because when a child can't read, their chances of incarceration, their chances of homelessness and unemployment increase. So what good is winning the right to vote when you can't read the ballot? And we found over and over when we are registering people, especially at the state fair, and many people just push us away, or I don't want to vote. And when you think about 60,000 people in Onondaga County who can't read above a 6th grade reading level, then that would explain maybe why we're getting this pushback from so many people when we're trying to register them to vote.
Yeah, and I know that when looking at the flyer you sent me, it says one of the greatest civil rights issues of our time. And I think about the issue of education, which has always been something that has been promoted in community, especially through the efforts of the NAACP. How did we lose our way, if that's the fair question?
You want me to jump in there, Gwen?
Yeah, why don't you jump in?
You know, I think over the years, there's been a shift in the approaches to reading. Not all of it has been science-based. And, so a big part of this documentary is really, putting that spotlight, the flashlight, if you will, on the need to move back to literacy that's based in the science of reading, that's, particularly going back to supporting kids' ability to have phonemic awareness and to build their fluency skills. Too often right now in education that we're trying to shift the language, but we talk about achievement gaps. And when we do that, that language places the blame on the learner. And this documentary and the science of reading movement is really talking about an opportunity gap. Have we provided the right opportunities in the right sort of dosage, if you will, to students so that they can access those critical reading skills? It's an invaluable thing when kids are unable to read. We've talked about at 3rd grade, but I really think we should be talking about when they're not reading by 1st and 2nd grade. the predictions we can make about how that will impact all areas of their life trajectory are critical. And so, that's why I toss it back to what Gwen said, which is this is not just about reading. This is a social justice issue of our time.
You said phonemic awareness. I'm assuming you mean phonics, right?
Yeah, it's really the
Okay.
ability to, to do that sound letter awareness and to blend and to decode our language.
And when you say by first and second grade, meaning whatever you're expected to be able to do at first and second grade, you should be able to do it. And we see kids are falling behind at third and fourth grade, and the testing is what, third grade?
Yeah, so a lot of times that's why we shape things talking about those third grade reading assessments as being those predictors, because it's one of the first times that you get that sort of national standardization. But I believe that by the time that deficiency is there, when we haven't built those skills with kids, the mountain we're asking them to climb is really huge, and it leads to this cycle of frustration in the classroom. No child wants to be humiliated, and there's nothing more humiliating than not being able to access the material and to read it. So what am I going to do? I'm going to seek to escape that really uncomfortable classroom situation. And so then the focus becomes about behavior. And so obviously education, it's nuanced and there's all kinds of complexities, but lots of students who get identified with behavior issues are really trying to escape that the process of learning is humiliating to them. And if we can do these interventions earlier, get them back on track for reading, and I believe we know a lot of the right things to do. It's about developing the political will to make sure we can do them at the right rates.
I don't think I've heard it spoken or phrased that way, that learning can be humiliating if you're not able to do it, right? I guess that's the same as shame, I guess, and so we act out and do different things because we just don't understand.
Listen, I would rather look like a student who's, naughty, if you will, to my friends than look like a student who's not capable or who's quote unquote dumb to you, right? Like I don't want to look stupid in front of my friends.
Yeah. Wow. And so part of that also probably includes some peer support. All right, so let's talk about what's happening. I say peer support. In other words, if we can get younger people to support their friends differently, that would be helpful as well, or support them in reading. I mean, what I noticed about, and I don't know if this is a cultural thing, but where am I going with this? I just remember that when I was in grad school, I was hanging out with some folks of a different culture than myself, and there was more of like a group dynamic. In other words, so that like every day, the goal was, if you don't know, I don't know, so we're all going to learn this together. And it was really structured that we're going to be supportive of each other. That was like an obligation. And I was wondering well, that's not about this documentary, but I'm thinking we probably need to also improve peer supports as well, so that young people can feel that they can support their friend without ridicule or making fun of them. Or
a quick connection I'll make for you, George, is it's really powerful when you have a fourth grader go into a kindergarten class for 10 minutes and read a story for them, because I want to be, that is relatable to me. I'm going to be in fourth grade in a couple years and I want to be like you. And so, yes, there's same age peer support, but I really also think you're talking about creating that culture of that reading is something that's joyful.
Yes.
And that like, that you are going on adventures when you read, and that it's not just that academic reading, right? When we really grab onto reading, like we all have these incredible stories of the first book we read where we just couldn't put it down. We had to finish it. We had to keep turning the page, right? It was these incredible stories that take us on an adventure. And when we can get kids to that place where they see reading as a doorway to these places, well, now my motivation is there, and I see the value, right? Reading is a value proposition, and we got to help kids understand that the investment of what we're asking you to do to learn this really tough thing is going to be worth it, because there's this huge payoff on the other side. So when you have peers modeling that for you, okay, now I'm going to start to, I see that as valuable.
So what's happening on the 22nd? Tell me about the event itself and what we can look forward to talking with Lura Luckenheimer, Vice President of, you're the chair of the Education Committee.
I'm the president.
Yeah.
I'm the chair. I'm the chair of the Education Committee.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you a little bit, and then, first of all, I really want to celebrate that Gwen has worked really hard for this documentary to be able to come and be viewed here. We have put together, so what will happen is participants will arrive. We're going to have many of the local organizations that are involved in literacy and literacy awareness have agreed to come and have tables and resources. But then we will view the documentary, and then we've got this just powerhouse panel that's going to, do a talk back session. We have Assistant Professor of African American Studies, Dr. Jackson, is going to be our moderator. And then our panel consists of folks both from the education sector, but also from the community sector. So we have, Katrina Allen is coming to speak from the Syracuse City School District. We have Karen Reeve, who's coming to speak. She's a director of literacy in Oswego. We have Mary Curcio, who's a former superintendent, but she's currently involved with an organization called Read to Them, which provides grants so that districts can actually do school-wide reads. And I just want to link that back to really being able to create some of that excitement around reading as something that builds community and is an adventure. And then we have a couple of other community organizations that are working with us to have representatives there. So a real opportunity for us to talk about, not just admire the problem of this challenge, but talk about what is happening and what can happen. And Gwen, I know you have been looking at this documentary. I don't know if you want to share just a little bit about its background of what people are.
Well, like I said earlier, it was brought to life by Weaver, who is an NAACP activist from Oakland, California. And it's being viewed across the country. And in fact, for the NAACP National Conference in New York, President's Weekend, they will be viewing it. The national board will be viewing the Right to Read. So it's making its way across the country.
All right. So what you need to do is make your way to the Community Folk Arts Center on Thursday, February 22nd at 5:30. The Syracuse Onondaga County chapter of the NAACP and the Community Folk Arts Center invite you for the Right to Read screening and panel discussion. Is any registration required or anything, Gwen?
No, you don't have to register. However, I believe on one of the flyers, there's a QR code where you can go in and register, but registration is not required.
All right, we want to see you
We
there.
just want
We want what?
We want everybody to come out and support it.
All right, let's do that. February 22nd, 5:30, Community Folk Arts Center. And that is located I can't even read that. What's the address?
802.
80
802, I believe.
East Genesee Street in Syracuse. All right.
Right.
There you go. All right. Gwen Muok, Lura Luckenheimer, thank you so much for being.
George, thanks for having us. It was great,
George.
All right. Inspiration for the nation. And we look forward to talking to you soon.